Right. Okay, welcome everybody to today's infrastructure meeting, Tuesday the 2nd of November. We have a Zoom attendee, Councillor Sopar, will be joining us, and apologies from Councillor Kett, Councillor Abbott and Councillor Arnold. Can I have someone move the apologies?
Moved.
Moved. Councillor Ludlow, seconded Councillor Lewis. All those in favour?
Aye.
There is no public forum, and we do have a major late item to add, and that's concerning the parking bylaw policy. Okay, so we need to receive that.
We do, as a major late
As a major late item. Can I have someone move that? Move.
I'll second.
Councillor Cracker, second Evelyn. Right, I'll put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Right, we have received that. Okay, before I commence with the items listed on the agenda, I'm going to open up the floor regarding the Three Waters announcement earlier last week, and if councillors, just an opportunity for councillors to make comments. It's not a discussion. I think there's been a bit in the media, but I thought some councillors may want to say something if they wish. Do we have anyone? We'll start with Councillor Clark, then Councillor Ludlow.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Disappointing the announcement by the Minister, but I guess she had no choice given the level of unease from the councils. She acknowledges that 7 councils were fully in favour of the reform, 10 were opposed, and the other 50 sort of had a range of unease, I guess, for want of better words. It seems like our opportunities now will fall with the legislation that's going to be put through at the end of the year, which will have 2 lots of select committee processes. And again, it takes away a little bit of localism, I guess, that I'd be surprised if anybody from this end of the country is going to front up in a select committee and give a 10-minute presentation. So it's a bit unfortunate in some ways. For me, it's not the issue of the loss of ownership of the asset, it's more the control of the assets and the services that flow from that. Excuse the pun. So that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Ludlow.
Thanks, Chair. I guess it's not surprising, and I'd always personally commented that I thought it was a situation where the government would need to mandate a requirement for everybody to opt in, and it became quite apparent that was going to have to be the option as councils struggled to find a uniform approach or the ability to let go of their obligations to their electors versus the New Zealand Inc. Proposal that Three Waters seeks to change. It's still up in the air over ownership. You know, it's said that we still own the asset. I'm not sure how that works. I don't think we do, and I think it's probably a case of I'd like to see us not be the people issuing the invoices to consumers as well, just so that people understand that when the price of what they pay for water goes up remarkably from what's part of their rates charged now, that they understand where that lies, not that it becomes a dirty great big increase as a part of the rates bill, because it's not actually a rate for this council. It's for a body that takes in the majority of Te Waipounamu. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Crackett.
Thank you, Councillor Pottinger. I find it really concerning. I think it's no surprise to any of us that they have mandated, and that's certainly been some of the discussion that we've had around this table. But I just remain extremely concerned about the future, and not only around Three Waters, but more around RMA reform as well, and the future for local government, all of these major reforms as well as Three Waters. And because it seems to me that we really are having the local and the local autonomy stripped out of local government. What do we have left if we no longer have local and local government? And that to me is just frightening.
Thank you. Your Worship.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was admittedly upset to see you holding the front page of the paper. And I think the word despicable was used, whereas I've found throughout this debate both sides have been rational at a local government level, and the debate has been kept at an even level. And of course that was followed up with the Sunday papers saying the biggest lake in the Waikato was called Lake Fanta because of the orange pollutants that have been going down the watercourses. And I think another term the locals used was carrot soup. So there's certainly drastic work needed, and I think this is, it'll at least be a step forward.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anya.
But I totoko our councillors Cricket and in regards to their words, but I think it's about, I mean, one size fits all doesn't work, and we know that within communities, and sadly it's, I think the greatest impact will be those that are struggling.
Okay. Right, I'll just sorry. Hello, Leslie. You want to say something?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and apologies for the slight lateness. I had a slight problem with connecting, so I missed. Was this an invitation from the chair to make a comment about the Three Waters issue?
Absolutely. Away you go.
Thank you. I'll keep it very brief because people have said various things, but I just want to say I think the time for some grandstanding on this issue has passed. We have a seat at the table and a voice to be heard. There are going to be opportunities to do that, and I think that we do have to bear in mind that there is a nationwide problem. There is a now mandated proposed solution. We still have some influence on how that might shape up, and I think that we have to put aside all grandstanding, hurt feelings, whatever, and actually really productively make our input to what is going to be the final shape of the picture.
Right. Evelyn, did you have your hand up?
No, I was trying to draw your attention
Oh,
to...
sorry. Yeah, my peripheral vision. Thank you. As chair, I've just got a couple of things to say, and I guess the irony is with the Local Government Act, and some pretty clever people wrote the Act, and there's a section in it, 130, that is obligations to maintain water services, and they put it in there so that a rogue council couldn't play with the assets of the public. They're locked in there, and it states quite clearly that you can't even borrow against your water assets, and it states in there. Yet, what are the new entities going to do? And it seems quite ironic that they can do that. And what that means then, if you can borrow against your assets, you actually make them liable against seizure, because if they become an asset like that. So I'm not sure how they're going to work, how that's going to work. The other thing is with ownership. Now, to me, the test of ownership is that if someone takes something away from you and tells you that you still own it, to me, you should be able to get it back whenever you want to, because it's mine. I want it back. Unfortunately, we will never get our waters back. So how do we still own it? And the other thing with ownership is that these entities are going to borrow billions and billions of dollars. So if we are a part owner of these entities, do we then own the debt? Where does that come in? No one's told us that. Someone has to. And the other thing is mentioned by Councillor Crackett was about the various reforms. And one of the reforms coming up is local government reform, and we're not sure. It's going to be interesting to see how territorial authorities engage in that, knowing how the engagement in Three Waters went. So we'll just wait on that one. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. So so I think it is September 2024. There's a central government reform that's up for grabs. So we can wait for that. So I'll move on now with the rest of the agenda. It's going to be the receiving of the minutes of the meeting on the 5th of October. Can I have someone move that? Moved Pania, second Councillor Scott. I'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
That is carried. Moves us on to the activity report. Who would like to speak to that, or do you want to take it in parts?
Take it in parts, please, Chair, with Steve Gibbling to cover the leisure and rec section first.
Okay, where you go, Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, councillors. Look, I'll take the report as read. There are a couple of updates that are key to note around the Environment Southland item on the existing pump station. I'm just checking to see if we've received formal notification, but at this stage there will be a paper that, if we do, that'll come back to council for approval. And just to note too that the progress on the hydroslides, the team have made good progress, and we're looking for an opening date within the next week and a half. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to get our community back riding under level 2 operations. So happy to take any questions.
Any questions, Steve? Councillor Ludlow.
Steve, just in around the sculptures, is there a plan on how you want this to develop?
That's exactly what the Parks team will be working on at the moment. Obviously, we're making good progress on the relocation of the umbrella, and but certainly working in partnership with the potential new trust and identifying future locations, and that would be something that would be brought back to council around our reserve management plans and how we're treating the town belt and other reserves.
Can I ask, is the trust an external trust?
Yes, it would be.
Thanks.
Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I must admit, when I unveiled that umbrella, I thought, oh no, an umbrella with holes in it. What sort of sculpture is that? But of course, the artist was quite clever in that he put everyone's surname from the telephone book to the electoral roll, and so everyone could trace their names and give a sense of heritage. Are the bricks going to be moved?
Yes, the bricks are currently being cleaned at the moment and reinstalled. And one of the benefits of the new location is the sculpture works in many ways, and one of those is a constellation map as well, and the reserve that we've chosen gives a far greater connection to the sky than its previous location, which had a building as a backdrop.
Thank you.
Councillor Cracker.
Thank you, Councillor Pottinger. In the activity report, it discusses the removal of the lollipop coin-operated parking meters, which is both, a bit bittersweet, because of course we're one of the only places in New Zealand that still have them, but as time goes on, we must move with the times and implement new technology as well, which I think there's a fantastic aspect to that. But my question is, what is going to happen to all of the lollipops around the city?
So I was going to, as part of the infrastructure section of the report, take advantage of the fact that we've got Russell Pearson here just to give a little bit of an update generally around the parking solutions upgrades, and I guess also to cover if people have got any questions on Lake Street or Queen's Drive in particular. So I'll hand over to Russell for parking solutions.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. The answer for the single head parking meters is that we will remove them and we will sell some of them. There are a number of people who seem to have an interest either in their garage or building fences. There's quite a lot of interest in them, and the rest we will send to and scrap, as there's recoverable materials from it. So it's quite a big effort to actually remove them all reasonably quickly. There's 740 odd of them, so it's quite a chunk of metal to take away.
Any further thing on the activity report? No. Oh, Councillor Clark.
Just a question for Steve. Anderson's house, just to confirm, it starts this month, the work on... Oh,
I can talk to that. So it's actually started this week.
Okay.
So they're setting up site now.
So just to clarify, that it's earthquake-prone strengthening and waterproofing. It's nothing beyond that. It's another phase again, isn't it?
That's right. So it's that minor external maintenance and
Yep.
the strengthening.
Yep. Thank you.
Councillor Ludlow.
So if we're moving into the infrastructure part of the report, I had a question about Queen's Drive and how long it's expected the work's going to take to do once you've assessed what it is that needs to be done.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Queen's Drive's been causing us a little bit of, concern over a period of time. Obviously, the top surface needs to be waterproof, and what we're starting to see is the top surface stones starting to unravel, which starts to indicate that it's becoming less waterproof. The base isn't failing, so we're looking at options which will predominantly be some form of sealed surface. Over half of it we're anticipating. So we're just working through whether we need to do localised patches or the whole section. Obviously the cost to replace the top surface is quite large, so we're looking for that interim period to extend the life, and we hope to do that over the summer period. And it's quite a short operation, but it is something that will cause slight disruption whilst we do that, but we've yet to confirm the product and the timeline for that.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, there's no more on the activity report that was to be received.
Sorry, Chair, can I ask, is there any feedback from the meeting in Ototara last week?
Erin, would you like to speak to that, please?
Cool. Thank you, Chair. So the meeting obviously went ahead in Ototara on Thursday evening last week. There was good attendance, in both in terms of the project team that were there as well as from the public. Look, I'll be completely honest, there were some not very happy people there, but we did our best to take them through the rationale for why we had come to the decision we had come to. There was a little bit of consternation around that people felt that it hadn't been a proper consultation process, and we explained to them that they were right in that we would have only been in a position to consult if we'd felt that there were two good options, and that we didn't feel that there were two good options. So it was an information session around why we had come to that one option, and people seemed to understand that a little bit better when they realised we weren't trying to actually run it as a consultation process. I guess what I would say is that obviously this is the first week that the Ototara community have had to, deal with the impact of that change. Generally the feedback is, for the most part, congestion hasn't been too bad at some of those spots that we thought it may be, particularly at the Curran Bay Road intersection. We have had some feedback that one of the congestion points does seem to be around about that 8:45 time in the morning, so we are just going to have the team out just having a little bit of a look at whether we need to make any changes around that at this stage.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks. Okay. Right. I think someone to move that we received the report.
I'll move that way.
Thank you, Leslie. Seconded. Panya. I'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Yeah. Right. That brings us to the major late item, parking bylaw. Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for receiving the report. I apologise for its lateness. It's just due to a timing and believing that this report needed to come to infrastructure, and it's really just looking for some minor changes to our parking bylaw. The bylaw allows for minor change by resolution of council, but I guess if we're actually having a much more significant change, we would have a full public consultation. These changes are really items that I need to have implemented for the changes that are necessary through the city centre work. Some of them are quite minor, and generally they're not necessarily significantly impacting. In some cases, we're actually looking to improve the opportunity for extra parking in Don Street. So happy to receive some questions.
Okay. Questions? No questions on parking. Amazing.
Still waiting.
Okay, right, we've got the recommendations there that we received this report, that the committee accepts that the proposed amendments to parking as outlined within the report and appendix are appropriate and required due to the construction of the city centre streetscape works, and that the committee recommends to council to resolve to adopt parking control bylaw 2020. Is it 2020?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, that is actually a correction I needed. It's not, the bylaw is actually dated 2020, not 2021.
Yeah, so there's an amendment. We've got that there. 2020. Yeah, 2020. So I'm reading off my thing. Including amendment number 1, appendix 1, A3593486, noting that it will come into force on 1st September 2021. Right. Can I have someone move that, please? Moved Councillor Ludlow, seconded Councillor Skelton. Going to put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against, that is carried. Right, that is the end of the public session. Now I would like to move into public excluded for the reasons contract road resurfacing to enable any local authority holding the information to carry on without prejudice or disadvantage negotiations, including